There was a conference in Texas put on by a Chicago-based Islamic group, and it was called Stand with the Prophet Against Hate and Terror. So it was a group of about 500 moderate Muslims, and they had some speeches, and they waved American flags, and they actually thanked America. Some of the speakers thanked America, and they called for peace. And what this was is it was a showing of solidarity for Western values and for freedom of speech and civil liberties and for America in response to what happened with the Charlie Hebdo situation, and to let people know, we're on your side, man. So that's what this event was about. Now, there's been plenty of different responses to the Charlie Hebdo situation, some good, some bad. We just did the story about how in Chechnya, they had hundreds of thousands of people do an anti-Charlie Hebdo protest, which is mind-boggling because they're just those people were just flat out against free speech. So in that case, it was hundreds of thousands of fundamentalists. They were not moderates. If you're at that protest, you're not a moderate. But in this case, in America, we're talking about 100% moderates. In fact, I'd go as far as to say they're liberal. They're liberal, but they're also Muslims. They exist. They do. So, in response to what they did, in response to the gathering, they were met with hundreds of protesters outside, right-wingers, of course, and they held signs that said, quote, "You are not Americans. Don't fly our flag." They said, "We're here to stand up for the American way of life from a faction of people who are trying to destroy us. If they want to live their life like the Middle East, they can go back to the Middle East." So notice the trillion ironies here in this story. A group that's standing up for civil liberties and standing up for American values and waving American flags, a group of Muslims doing that. And for admitting that they're moderates and standing up like conservatives always tell them to do, stand up and say you're moderate, denounce terrorism. Well, these guys do that, and what happens? The conservatives spit in their eye anyway. And the ironies when they say, you are not Americans, don't fly our flag. Well, yes, they are literally Americans. They're from America, right? And they're embodying American values by doing freedom of speech, by speaking their mind. And you're doing the opposite. You're trying to censor them and kick them out of the country, so you're the one that's un-American. And then they say, we're here to stand up for the American way of life. No, you're not. You're here to stand up for the opposite. You're here to take away their First Amendment right to peacefully assemble and do freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And they're not trying to destroy the American way of life. You are, because, again, you're trying to censor them. And then if they want to live like in the Middle East, they should go back. Who said they want to live like the Middle East? You're just assuming that because they have darker skin than you. They're doing a thing where they're standing up for civil liberties. And you're saying, get the fuck out of America. So there's literally nothing any Muslim could do, any Arab could do to show that they're American. Nothing. There's nothing they could do. And therein lies the moral of the story here. That, understand, there are plenty of extremists in America, these far-right lunatics who they've just decided in their own minds, this is my country. This is for white conservative Protestants. That's it. That's it. If you're anybody else, especially if you're a Muslim or if you're a black person, get the fuck out of here. You're not American because I decide what's American. Well, no, you don't. You might want to read the Constitution. You might want to read our founding documents. You might want to understand the principle of equality and freedom and justice that this country is now built on and now stands on. You might want to learn a thing or two about the civil rights movement. You might want to understand the concept of multiculturalism. You could try to pretend like this country is supposed to be xenophobic and myopic and racist, but that's only in your backwards, uneducated, ignorant mind. So again, the irony here is you're the ones that are fighting American values. They are standing up for them.